flows with gentle boundaries. Freedom breathes within this circle. Open circle, we are here. Open circle, drawing near. We unlearn what once confined us. We remember who we are. Kindness given without condition. Freedom held with quiet strength. Open circle, we are here. Open circle, drawing near. You are welcome in this space. You are safe to simply be. Take your time and find your voice, or just rest in quiet presence. Open circle, we are here. Open circle, drawing Open circle, holds us now. Open circle, soft and true. Open circle, breathing slow. Open circle, we are. Open circle, holds us now. Open circle, soft and true. Open circle, breathing slow. Open circle, we are.
Hello. Good evening, good day, wherever you are in the world, on the planet. I send you my greetings. Very happy to have everybody here. So I say welcome, or we say welcome to the Open Circle. Saturday is a bit different normally from the Wednesday Open Circle, or the Open Circle that we have during the week. But this particular one is different, and that's intentional. I can tell you that the peninsula is rainy, and there are gusts of wind outside, and plants and trees blowing accordingly. But I want to also just say that things are a little bit different for another reason. It's intentional. The most candid, honest thing we can do is not push through at full strength, but to speak exactly from where we are. And today, tonight, or in the morning, wherever it is that we in our particular time zone, I just wanted to speak about something that many of us here comprehend, or you could say understand. Not just intellectually, but physically, emotionally, and spiritually. If you want to say psycho-spiritually, psychophysically, you know that link. That's what is felt. Because what happens when you tell the truth inside a system that just cannot afford to hear it? There is an idea often repeated that if you see wrongdoing, especially something as serious as harm to vulnerable, to a child. You report it, and the system responds. The justice follows the truth. Evidence speaks, or what you think you have as evidence speaks. And this is where it develops, because many of us have lived something very different. We've learned that in certain closed systems, truth is not the highest value. I'm going to repeat that. In certain systems, I'm going to say, in my opinion, negative, high control systems, truth is not the highest value. Protection is. Reputation is. Continuity is. And when those things are threatened, not by wrongdoing itself, but by the exposure of wrongdoing, the one who speaks up can become the problem. So what happens? At first there might be silence. Time goes on. Then minimization. And that can come in all sorts of forms. Speaking over. I'm going to say slander. Reputational damage. Okay? Not just accidental. I'm going to venture very deliberately done this way. And so that gets to not just minimization, but from minimization to reframing. So language begins to shift. You enter into a room where you believed there was some kind of principled love or some kind of principled respectability. That room, the language in that room shifts. If you want to say, the spirit in that room shifts. So what was seen clearly becomes alleged. What was documented, even tied into with witnesses, becomes misunderstood. Oh, we must misunderstand this situation. What was urgent becomes procedural. What was directed, suddenly those persons that directed things become inaccessible, uncontactable. Emails get blocked. Telephone numbers get blocked. Pathways to communication get blocked. And so you could say gradually, sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's slow, but the whole process from how I'm describing here, to many I would believe is almost imperceptible. So reality itself begins to feel like, oh, it's slipping. Of course, I have commented, I'd say that times are changing, but let's just paint this picture, because what I'm describing comes to this deeper layer, and I don't want to muddy it too much. It's the social response. People have known for years. People have known for years. But those ones in the know affect the society. And so what you've grown up with, what you believe to be your tribe, your institution, your religion, your friends, your family, begins to withdraw. Not always with hostility, but with distance, with caution, with that subtle unspoken message. I'm going to say that message is, you've made things complicated. You've made things convoluted. And I'm going to go further. You are dangerous. And in systems where belonging is tied to agreement, where it's tied to survival, livelihood, and our children are very key here. They're the future. They are tied to our most intimate procreative power, our deepest psychology. But in this system where belonging is tied to agreement, where identity is tied to loyalty, where distance in your relationships grows, that very distancing carries enormous weight. Now this is where many people begin to feel something physically, not just emotional distress, but actual physical symptoms: exhaustion, nausea, disorientation. Because the body is trying to process something the mind may be struggling to reconcile. Did I? I did the right thing. So why does everything feel like it's collapsing? And this is the moment I want to pause on. I want to just take a pause, take a breath. Because if you, I say we, if we've experienced this, you're not imagining it. There's a real cost to ethical action inside a system or systems that are not structured to receive it. And that cost is often paid in relationship stability, health, and sometimes identity itself. So there's another layer that's harder to speak about, but deeply, deeply important. Even when evidence exists, what you believe is evidence, even when patterns are visible, I'm going to say evidence exists, patterns are visible, even when multiple voices align together, it often does not become evidence in the eyes of authority until a system with power recognizes it. A court seems to be the best that society has, unless we've got something else. An investigation, a formal ruling. And reaching that point requires resources endurance and support that many people simply do not have, especially after being socially and emotionally cut off. So what does that mean in practical terms? It means that many people who do the right thing end up standing alone at what we might call the city gates. Not inside the system anymore. Not fully supported outside of it yet. Carrying truth, but without amplification. And so here's the paradox, the catch. The very mechanisms that isolate the individual also protect the system from scrutiny. Because the fewer voices that remain visible, the easier it is to maintain the appearance of normalcy. And this is important. But it's not the end of the story. Because something else begins to happen. Slowly, almost invisible at first. Awareness begins to build. Across individuals, across communities, and across societies. And once that awareness reaches a certain threshold, systems that once seemed immovable begin to shift. We've seen this historically, not just in religious context, but across institutions. What was once denied becomes acknowledged. What was once protected becomes exposed. And what was once isolated becomes understood, comprehended as part of a larger pattern. But for the individual in the moment, that doesn't remove the cost. And I don't want to pretend, this is me getting tongue-tied. I want to pretend that it does. Because healing doesn't come from bypassing that reality. It just does not work. Doesn't. It comes from integrating it. From recognizing. Yes, this happened. Yes, it cost me. Yes, it cost those who matter to me, or are interwoven to me, or those I swore to protect. And yes, it still matters, and it still mattered. So wherever it is that we are on the planet, today, tomorrow, now, tonight, in the morning, whatever time, rather than pushing toward answers, just want to open a different kind of space, if you allow it. It's a space where we can just acknowledge, okay, the courage it takes to see clearly, and the cost of speaking candidly, of speaking as honestly as we can, I say, using the truth wave. And the complexity of healing when both of those are true at the same time. So if you're here in our open circle, whether live or listening later, and you've walked this path in any form, please consider, I want you to consider something gently, not as pressure, but as a possibility. And that the very thing that isolated you may also be the beginning of connection. Not necessarily with the same people, not necessarily in the same structure, no, but with others who recognize what you've seen, who comprehend and understand what it costs, and who are no longer willing to pretend otherwise. There's the emperor. The emperor has no clothes. The emperor has no clothes. The emperor has no clothes. And from that place, something new can begin. Something not built on silence. I'm going to say coerced silence, not enforced by fear, but grounded in a shared reality and mutual respect. And so whether this open circle becomes a conversation or not, maybe we're just stunned. I don't know. Or it's just simply a moment of quiet listening. I don't know. Maybe I could put on music or something. I don't know. But whatever we do, it's all valid because it's all part of the same process. So, thank you for listening. Bit of a short one. I'm going to say thank you for being here. Thank you for seeing. Shall we open the circle?